Hello, it's Steve with CarSmart in Niagara Falls. We've got a lovely summer-ish day. Not quite summer here yet, but lovely. Again, the sunshine is out, nice and warm, and we've got a beautiful Kia Soul for you. This is a Soul EX Plus, so not the highest trim level, but well from the bottom, sort of up in the top third of the different. They've got about 6 different models, and this is just a beauty. A 2-owner car. The woman that traded it here, she bought it locally at actually the Hyundai dealer here in Niagara Falls, and I believe it came from the Kia dealer here in Niagara Falls with the first original owner. And again, color is gorgeous here. This is called an Inferno Red, and when you, I don't know if you can really see it in the light here, but it's a very, very fine metallic red, but nice and bright. It really pops. Certainly an orangish overtone to it, and a beautiful black contrasting interior. Real clean. Anyways, when you get into the EX model, we get things like the projector style headlights that give you a crisper, sharper beam, fog lights down below. It's got all the sort of piano black out trim through the little bow tie there, as well as in the lower grille. Blacked out molding, splash guard, 17-inch aluminum alloy wheels. It's got a real nice set of, again, these are the Kumo Solus, again, Korean tire, but again, good quality tire. 215 55 17s. You see inside there, brakes are in great shape. One thing we do is we pre-certify, pre-safety inspect every vehicle so that it's not an extra charge here at CarSmart. You know, we come out with true one price advertising with, again, a real, again, value pricing on our vehicles. We do not negotiate the price. We offer, we feel, is certainly the best value. I'm just lifting up the windshield, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but this has what they call heated wiper park as well with this model. And sort of where the windshield wipers park on the lower front windshield, there's a heavy defrosting grid that will defrost, de-ice the windows or the wipers, you know, should they be stuck out in freezing rain or heavy snow, that sort of thing. Privacy tinted windows. Now from the factory, the windows going back were factory tinted. Somewhere along the line, again, one of the previous owners had the front windows tinted as well to give it a more uniform look. Of course, we've got what they call a folding or breakaway mirror design, so if they get bumped in a parking lot, they're not going to do any damage. We do have integrated LED signal lighting, heated, and of course power adjustability from inside. Let's do a quick walk around. Again, this was before my customer bought it, but there was again a police reported incident on the right front corner. Described as minor damage, so again, likely, you know, headlights and bumper covers, a lot of this, maybe sheet metal, but certainly nothing terribly serious. That's really the only incident on the vehicle. Of course, roof rack rails were standard. These are nice lockable and removable sort of cross rails, so if you're into putting, you know, attachments on the top, be it roof baskets or lashing on bicycle attachments or windsurfers, paddle boards, etc. You know, all kinds of different accessories you can get to go on those. Those are a great feature, and with the locks on them, and we have 2 keys for them, those are nice and secure, so people aren't going to swipe your stuff if it's locked onto the roof. Also has a full set of winter tires along with these all-season tires. Tread on those, you can see, I bet there's not more than 1 season driven on those. Those are almost brand new, so lots of tread on those. Those are included as well. We also get upgraded LED marker lights, LED rear tail lights on the EX Plus model. We've got a backup camera in here, of course, rear wiper washer, a 3rd LED brake lamp for better visibility. And then you've got that flexible, what they call it a whip antenna. These are flexible. They won't do any damage going through a car wash or anything. And then it also has that little shark fin in there, which is built in for the satellite radio antenna. Keyless remote entry includes what they call proximity key, so it's not just a standard keyless. If you walk up to the vehicle with the key in your pocket or your purse and just hit that little black button, it automatically unlocks, and you can, of course, the second touch will unlock it. And you've got a full set of power windows, door locks, and mirrors. Now this has just 79,984 kilometers on it as it sits here today. So nice clean, low mileage. Seats are in great shape as well. It's got that neat little pattern in there, sort of a houndstooth pattern. Premium cloth, that's again all part of that EX Plus package. We also have height adjustable seat for the driver that certainly lifts, and then of course manual adjustment for sliding forward and aft and reclining. Tucked in down here is your fuel door release. It's important to note that that fuel door is locked, so people can't, again, pinch your gas, and with the price of fuel today, that is happening, unfortunately. But also takes regular unleaded, which is the least expensive grade. You know, there's usually your regular, mid-grade, and premium. This is what's called 87 octane. That's what it's specified for, and you do not need to use higher priced fuels. Nice sort of storage area for obviously documents, other stuff, but under that sort of tall sleeve at the front edge for sort of a tall water bottle or can, you know, always handy when you're driving. And you've got of course your power windows, again part of the EX Plus package is the what they call Express, you know, so the auto down feature, auto up for both of the front power windows. Your power door locks are here, window lockout, so this cancels the other 3 power windows when activated. So if you have children sitting in any of those seats that are likely to play with the windows, again, that's certainly a nice little safety feature. Power adjustable mirrors, left, right, is done from here. Speakers as well, upgraded with a 6-speaker audio system. Now you can't really see it during the daytime, but at nighttime, there's built-in LED light rings in here, and it actually pulses with the music. It's really, that's the first time I've seen this, because I hadn't seen one of these before in the higher trim levels. You know, and as you turn it up, and especially at the base, it sort of, you'll see a pulsing of light with that. So kind of a really cool feature. I thought that was really inventive. Underneath here we have tilt and telescopic steering wheel adjustability. And then again, you can adjust your music, that mood music, and you can turn that off if you don't like that. But again, there's sensitivity and color change on those as well. Heated steering wheel, anti-skid control, or vehicle stability assist, electronic stability control. There's different names for it with different companies, but effectively the same. When it's always on unless you elect to turn it off, but it's both an anti-skid control as well as an all-speed traction control. And lastly, this little rocker switch here adjusts the interior lighting, so the back lighting of your instrumentation, all your switches for nighttime, you can adjust that light intensity. So let's jump inside here. As mentioned, just 79,984 kilometers, so under 80k, so very low kilometers for a 2019 model. Instrumentation nice and bright, LED backlit. You've got a tachometer on the left, the little indicators in green down below are both just an indicator for low beam, as well as your fog lights now currently on. We've got P for telling us our transmission's in park. Elapsed time, I just reset this 12 minutes ago when I was setting this up, but again, you've got a full multi-function trip computer that's all controlled from down here. So trip A, trip B, range, computer, average fuel economy, etc., and then that trip timer. Then also in that little cluster over on the lower left is your outside or ambient temperature. Swinging to the right, you'll see your engine temperature, coolant gauge, and your gas, of course, fuel gauge. On the left stalk, you've got your wiper controls, and you can see your headlights here, off, parking lights, headlights, and then an auto mode. That's where most people will leave it in the auto mode. I just have it on now for daytime visibility for doing the video. And then the little rocker switch here just turns on our fog lights. Go to the opposite side, we'll find our full variable delay, intermittent front wipers, and a intermittent rear wiper washer. Now it's a fixed wiper washer on the back with, say, fixed intermittent setting. Of course, we've got day-night rear view mirror. We have dual illuminated visor mirrors. Now the visor mirrors are kind of cool. They have the little switch up top here. There's a little sliding door to cover it, but as soon as you close the visor, it automatically shuts off the lamp. So if you don't need the lamp on, you don't have to switch it on, but it's not going to stay on and drain your battery. You've got nice sturdy overhead sort of assist grips on all 4 doors for entry and exit. Always a help with our aging population. I might be one of those people soon. Bad knees, bad back, just kind of makes it easier for entry and exit as we age. Overhead sort of lights, of course, and you'll see a door and a room lamp. So the room lamp illuminates both these front ones as well as the overhead dome lights on the top. Whereas the door lamps, of course, are switched with the opening and closing of the doors, what they call illuminated entry system with that soft fade out Also integrated in there, difficult to see, but there's little perforations there, and we have a microphone embedded in there. And this is what's picking up voice for both voice operations as well as hands-free phone conversations. Ahead of that is sort of a little storage pocket for driving glasses or sunglasses, and you'll see how that front windshield has both a dark shade band as well as that sort of screen, so kind of a dot matrix pattern that again really cuts the glare, from between the visors, so that works very, very nicely and well positioned. Going back to the steering wheel, again, I mentioned the tilt and telescopic wheel, but the rim itself is also a nice thick rim, sort of sport wheel. It's got little, I guess, contours there to really hold your hands at that 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock position. It's leather wrapped and it's heated. I mentioned that earlier with your heated steering wheel being just down below here. Moving along, we do have heated seats, 2-stage for driver and passenger up front. Of course, your infotainment system. Now, I've got my phone plugged in here now because this is a real nice sound system. Again, it's 6 speakers. They use a DSP or digital sound processing amplifier. So again, it's got nice, very good quality, especially with all the MP3 music that people are listening to these days, whether it's in a form of a USB stick or you're streaming it from your smartphone, etc. And it also has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So if you're not familiar with these, this is where we can do what we call projection from your phone. I happen to have an Apple phone, which you'll see plugged in down here in the center console right into the USB port. And that way I can access all my stuff through CarPlay. So there's the CarPlay main menu. Sort of an incoming phone call comes in. It's all integrated along with your steering wheel controls for things like phone, answering and hanging up, your voice operations. If I want to place a phone call, I can just hit the voice button and say, call CarSmart, and however it may be listed within your contacts list on your cell phone, it will automatically recognize through advanced voice recognition and place that call. You can also do it manually, but of course doing everything hands-free is the legal way to do it. You're not fumbling with a phone looking for, scrolling through menus, etc. And then of course things like your music apps, like I use a couple different ones, but I've got Amazon Music and whatnot. Different maps, you have of course Apple Maps with an Apple phone, but I tend to use Google Maps and or Waze when traveling, and I find real-time traffic reports. One thing I like about the Google Maps is, as you can see here, you can also choose an overview that gives you satellite imagery. But if you go into the settings button, you can change that. Where is it here? Is it in map display? I believe, yeah, there it is. You can turn off the satellite map. You can, in downtown areas where you've got lots of tall buildings, you can really get like a 3-dimensional relief. So if I go back here, you'll see a more conventional Google Map view, or just a regular map. And you can select from flat maps or sort of 3-dimensional, where you're sort of looking at it from 1,000 feet and getting that perspective. And of course, you can go in and change your scale, everything done through there. And then you can set also points of interest, etc., as you can with all these advanced apps. One of the nice things I really like about smartphone projection with CarPlay and Android Auto is your maps are always updated. Nothing more frustrating than getting a factory navigation system on a car that's 5, 6, 7 years old, whatever, and they're already out of date. And to go to the dealer and pay hundreds of dollars to have them to upload, the latest map data, it's kind of old technology now. Really, it's much better to do it just through your smartphone. And of course, data costs have come way down on smartphones in the last few years, so it's not like it used to be where it was very expensive. So I think everybody will appreciate that. And then of course you've got all your standard radio functions, media functions, seek and scan, your phone controls, again, everything all on there as well. Now, when we get into the EX Plus that we're talking about now, it also comes with an automatic climate control air conditioning with this clean air technology. So it actually uses electronic air cleaning along with an in-cabin filter that really filter out all the dust and pollen and other allergens. So people with allergies will really appreciate the system, keeping those filters clean and keeping that stuff out of the car. Other things here, you see a passenger airbag off indicator. right where my finger is. That's just telling us that the front passenger airbag is now turned off because effectively there's nobody sitting in there. It uses a classification system where when somebody sits in the seat, it sort of reads the weight of the individual, and if it's under about 90 to 95 pounds, it keeps that frontal airbag turned off, sort of recognizing that it's likely a child sitting there. It's somebody very smaller, and airbags are really designed for adults, so that there's no need for it, and it's much safer with that airbag off and just relying on your seat belts. Now, we do have, in addition to those frontal airbags, we have side impact airbags that are kind of located in the side bolsters of both seats. We have height adjustable seat belts for driver and passenger, and these also have what they call collision pretensioning. So again, really a further advancement where these pretensioners are linked to the airbag sensor, so when it senses an accident happening, it will sort of decide how serious is the accident. Was it a very minor low-speed accident where you don't need seat belts tightening up and you don't need your airbags deployed? But in a real serious accident, higher speed, obviously, the tightening of the seat belts, again, it really holds the occupants in place, so you're not bouncing around, and again, that all improves passenger safety. Then, in addition to side airbags, we also have curtain airbags that extend over both front and rear windows, and then you'll see a little airbag kind of symbol there on the pillar, and those protect really upper torso and obviously your head as well from banging into pillars and glass and everything else. Those will stay inflated for upwards of 12 seconds. So if you're in a kind of a rollover situation where the car might be going off-road and tumbling, again, it's important that they stay inflated for a longer time. We can manually turn on those overhead lights from the back, so it sort of gives rear reading lights and a nice spacious rear seat, and you can see with that flip down armrest. So before we go there, we'll just quickly go down through the console here. We are back. My apologies, accidentally hit the stop button. So as I was mentioning, we do have of course the push button stop start, your automatic transmission that has a what they call a Shiftronic or a manual shift mode. So that's the normal drive mode, and if we kind of pull the shift knob over to the left, you'll see a little plus minus illuminating there. And we also see a change in the display in the center dash. Now we're in number 1, displaying our first gear. And so it's a manual transmission effectively within the automatic. So you can manually shift through the gears if you choose. You don't have to. Just leave it in drive if you choose. Let it do its own thing. But it gives you a little more control for acceleration or things in the winter like engine braking, etc. as well. And of course, ahead of that, again, just going back to where the phone is plugged in, you'll see 2 12-volt power sockets that are hidden behind these little covers for plug-in and charging. We've got a USB port for both media input as well as for charging. So it charges your device as well. And then there's also an aux input jack, and that gives you the ability to use things like iPods or other MP3 players where you could plug that in for audio feed. Handbrake, cup holders, center sort of cushioned armrest that flips up, and then there's a nice deep sort of storage cubby beneath that as well. Very, very tidy inside, non-smoker, it's spotless inside. The woman that owned it was sort of similar to myself in her early 60s, late 50s, something like that, and no kids in the car, so again, it's very, very clean. We've got child-proof door locks in the back. Again, the rear doors also have those sort of tall sleeves for sort of water bottle holders, more speakers. And again, it's got all-weather floor mats as well as carpet mats, which you'll see in a moment. They're in the trunk right now. Underneath the seats themselves, you can see there's vents or ducts, and that's blowing heat or air conditioning, depending on the season, through to the rear. Again, you can fold down that armrest with drink holders, leaving you 3 across sort of seating, and these little markers just tell you where the latch or isofix anchor points are for child seats. So you can affix child seats in any of the 3 rear seat positions. Rear headrests are adjustable. We have a 60-40 split fold flat, giving you a nice fold flat seat. On the back of the seats themselves, these are the anchor points, so depending on where a child seat is placed, that's for the top tether strap to anchor and lock in place. Opening up the hatch, there's a little soft touch sort of release button there. Of course, the rear camera I mentioned the extra floor mats. These look like they've never been used. I think she used the all-weather mats virtually all the time. Very, very clean, as you can see. Flip down both those rear seats and they got a really tremendous space, because that's the nice thing with this. It's a nice sort of squared off design that gives you a real high roof line, so it fits tall drivers very well. But you can imagine the size of the cargo boxes you could fit in here. Again, that's huge. Handy little grip handle to flip down and close your rear tailgate. And let's finish up under hood. I released the hood there just a moment ago. So the release for the front hood is right. I've got a sore left hand there, so no strength in it. There we go. But this is the actual release lever to unlatch it. And then what I always like to point out, and especially on cars like this, you can see how clean it is. Like, there's no rust anywhere. The signs here of oil spray. We've cleaned this all off and we detailed them really well, along with a 3-stage polish. And again, clean, clean, clean. Inside, of course, your maintenance-free battery, power brake fluid, of course your oil dipstick, oil addition on the top, washer fluid reservoir, air conditioning sensors, coolant reservoir, radiator cap. So pretty straightforward. The nice thing with these are not turbocharged. These are normal aspiration, which in my opinion, well, they give you a little less horsepower. There's still much better reliability long term for them. This develops 161 horsepower, 150 pound-feet of torque, which is lots of power for a small to mid-sized car. So I think this will serve somebody very, very well. Very, very good on fuel. Like the highway rating on it, I was looking at it. Yeah, 7.5 to 7.8 liters per 100. So good highway fuel economy. Again, all running on regular unleaded gas. I'm Steve with CarSmart in Niagara Falls. I appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you have any questions, you can reach me personally at the dealership. 905-354-0049 is our phone number. Thank you.